Hey everyone, David Code, the Core Real Estate Group. Hey, there's been a lot of talk about the new rules surrounding buyer representation. And in fact, beyond what happened last year with the NAR ruling, there was also a new law here in California that started January 1st that requires any buyer to have a buyer representation agreement with a broker before they go and look at properties. So for today, I figured it'd be helpful to kind of talk about what's in this agreement. It's actually really only one page. Well, it's a contract, so of course it's 20 pages long, but there's really only one page that matters, and it's this first page of the buyer representation and broker compensation agreement, right? So the first section here is on representation, and basically you pick a time frame. It can only be up to 3 months of time. So 3 months is the maximum, and what we've been telling clients is, look, let's work together for 3 months, and for some reason within that 3 months, if we haven't found you the right home, but we're enjoying working together, we can always extend it out. The second part is whether it's a non-exclusive or exclusive representation agreement. So for example, we have been working with some people that have been dealing with the fires here in LA, and they might have multiple agents that they're working with for different parts of the city. So if that were a case, maybe we would sign a non-exclusive contract with a buyer, but we might just be looking for them in the South Bay, and they may have a non-exclusive contract with someone else who could be helping them up in Malibu or wherever else they might be looking to buy a home. The next section is the property to be acquired, right? And you can be very specific here. You can list just single family, just condos, multifamily, investment property, or you could even just list certain properties. So maybe if you just wanted to have a representation agreement and you were just looking at a few properties, you can actually list those properties here. You can do it by counties. Maybe it's just LA County. Maybe it's LA and Orange County. Maybe it's just certain cities. So you can get very specific here on which properties this agreement is to represent. And if you were working with someone else and you saw properties before, you can even exclude some properties from this agreement, right? So maybe you wrote an offer with an agent a few months ago. That offer didn't get accepted, but if that property comes back, you would still potentially want to work with that agent because they found you that home. You could exclude certain properties from this agreement, even if you've got an exclusive contract to represent, to be represented as a buyer. Next up is the compensation. This is whatever buyer and buyer's agent agree to. We have still been signing all of our buyer representation agreements at 2.5%. And for the most part, sellers are still offering 2.5% to individual buyers or to buyers agents if an agent brings them a buyer. But of course, all of this is subject to negotiation, not only with you and your buyer's agent, but even when you write the offer, the buyer's agent will write this compensation into your offer. And it's up to the seller to agree whether or not they're willing to cover that compensation or if they are going to expect you, the buyer, to cover your compensation to the agent. Of course, if we have a contract signed at 2.5%, if we receive any compensation from the seller, that relieves the buyer of paying that obligation since it's going to be paid by the seller, which is still the way it's happening for the most part. There is a continuation period that you can have. So if for some reason this contract expires and you want to put a tail on it, we can agree to have like a 30-day window just in case something that was showed to you within the 90-day period that we have our contract. If it all of a sudden becomes available, or maybe you changed your mind, there's still a way that we can have a bit of a time frame where we can still represent you. And then, from a cancellation standpoint, non-exclusive can be canceled upon receipt, right? So as long as you are providing notice to the agent that you want to cancel, you can do it. It's basically upon receipt. Or if we have an exclusive contract, it's within 30 days of receipt of this cancellation notice. And really, the last part, section G, is buyer financial, their personal information. So if we're going to represent you in buying a home, we do want to make sure that you actually can afford it, right? So we have a time here where once you sign the contract, you have to turn over to your agent your proof of funds and a pre-approval letter. And it's okay if you don't have it. As long as we understand that as an agent, we will work with you to get someone who can get you pre-approved, just so you know how much of a home you can buy before we go out and start looking at homes. So hopefully this is a good explanation of this new contract. If you have any questions on it, we would certainly love to talk to you more about how to use this agreement strategically when you're looking to make offers. So if buying a home is in your future, we would love to sit down and have this conversation with you. Please reach out to myself or someone from the team. We would love to talk to you and help you find a home. David Code, the Core Real Estate Group. Hope you're doing well and hope to talk to you soon.